Back to Yu-Gi-Oh! For the second of God knows how many entries on the GBA. This time it's actually the card game, rather than that dice-rolling spin-off from a bit ago. A bit of a later release in North America, this one, coming a year and a bit after the game's Japanese release. Whereas technically this was the second Yu-Gi-Oh! Title in the GBA library after March 2001's Dungeon Dice Monsters, weirdly it came out in North America before that one. The timelines are a bit all over the place, as are the naming conventions. In Japan, the Eternal Duelist Soul was known as Duel Monsters 5: Expert 1. The numbering was dropped for the Western release, and in fact you're better off not worrying about them, as the next one released in North America was actually number 7 in the series. The 6th didn't get westernized at all. So yeah, all a bit muddled, but we've seen similar things before with stuff like Final Fantasy, and nobody's ever confused by that series, are they? Now, this is a well-loved game, if online sentiment is to be believed. There are plenty of reviews in the 7 out of 10 and up area, with many going way higher. Thing is, the people who review Yu-Gi-Oh! Games are usually already fans of the physical card game and are writing their review from that experienced perspective. If that's you, you probably think this is great, and you're most likely right in your case. Now, and this might shock you, I'm not a fan. I don't know anything about the game really outside of my very limited experience, and so this review is written from the point of view of a basically complete outsider. The expert being in the Japanese title might give you some hints that this is probably aimed more at fans already familiar with the franchise. There's not much, well, anything actually, of a tutorial mode, which at first acted as a total barrier to the whole game for me. Honestly, it still does, which is something that always seems to happen to me with anything from this genre. Seemingly, it's kind of rare that you'll find a card battler that's immediately open to newcomers. I guess it does kind of come with the territory. Even the Pokemon trading card game can be a bit much, but at least the GBC version of that has a lengthy and annoyingly unskippable tutorial in it. Just walk me through the first little bit and I'm probably good after that. This game also assumes that you already know all the characters, their backstories and motivations, as there's literally no exposition or any attempt at storytelling anywhere in this game. You could argue that it's not needed, and hey, it's fine if you know these guys, but tell me why I should care about them. Again, not a colossal issue. For many people, just completing the collection is enough of a motivation, and it's a big collection, over 800 different cards to collect. You'll get booster packs periodically, as well as when you beat other players. The artwork on the cards here is amazing, honestly, although perhaps it would have been nice to have a smaller image that you can see at a glance when the cards are on the play area, rather than that black square that you get. You have to manually click on the card to open it up and examine it. Like I say, there are a couple of shortcomings with this game, but I'm not going to give it a silly low score because of them. I mean, there's clearly a lot of value here, and I always try my best to be objective rather than let my own biases affect the star rating. Look, this isn't my genre, I'm going to be honest with you. It is super faithful to the card game, which, ironically, based on the trouble I've been having with it, doesn't have a massively complex rule set, but it's fleshed out really well in digital form. All you're really trying to do is get your opponent's overall life points down to 0 by attacking using monster cards, traps, or spells. You can place monsters on the bench which are there to attack, but also to defend for you. If you haven't got any in play, your life score will immediately be deducted upon getting hit, and there's little you can do about it. If you have monsters in play, they have a chance to reduce or even negate the damage done. I'm massively shortening the objective there, but that's the essential plot point. Now, as for my biggest problem, the early inaccessibility of the game, it's not really even because of the rules and their lack of explanation, which, they're quite simple, as I say. The problem I have with it is that there's a real unbalance early on, whereby if you randomly get chosen to go second, which you always seem to do when you're starting out, it's almost impossible to win a fight with the early deck. Moving first feels so incredibly overpowered, and if you don't, it's super tough to combat it. If you're forced to move second, which like I say you always are, that lets the CPU set up their field before you can even do anything. They'll place strong monsters, set traps, activate spells, then on your turn, you're immediately forced to respond to what they did, rather than plan your own tactics. Then even if you do manage to get a decent monster out, the other player will just knock them clean out before you get to do anything with them. There's this constant cycle of you putting a card out, it getting wiped before you get to move, your life points getting chipped away with no response, then before you know it, you've lost the game without even laying a glove on the other team. It's mostly a problem early on when you've just got your starter deck, because the opponents will always have a much stronger hand, card for card, against your terribly weak monsters and filler cards that don't help you. You just have to lose again and again until you scrape together a half-decent deck. One little tip that seems to do the rounds quite a lot is that you can have up to 60 cards, but almost counterintuitively, you're almost better reducing how many you pick to like 40 or something, because at least then you have a better chance of drawing something that might actually help you instead of a bunch of useless cards. Ironically, once you do start to get your hands on the stronger spell and trap cards, the game kind of becomes too easy, because the AI doesn't really adapt its own strategy to combat this. This has always been a bit of a flaw with the earlier Yu-Gi-Oh games in general, and so I imagine I'll hit this frustration time and time again. So, because there are so goddamn many games in this series on Game Boy Advance, there's a pretty good chance that I won't make a video on future entries, unless you can tell me that they're considerably different from this. It's realistic to the real-world game, you gotta give it that. You're probably not winning straight out with just the basic starter deck there either. I know that this gets better as you go on, and I will caveat this review with that. I know that once you've taken a few licks, there's a good game to be found here. But my problem with it is this is a video game after all. Collecting the real world cards and going to the clubs to play it, that's a life dedication. This is a video game. It's a plug-in, play for 30 minutes kind of thing. Such a pivotal advantage or disadvantage should not be tied to the flip of a coin at the start of a fight. We don't all have the time to grind for 2 hours before we can start enjoying the experience. I certainly don't. I've got 4 other games to review this week. This is a card battler, right? Not an RPG, and the gateway to entry should not be as high as this.